Number 10. The copperhead. If you spend enough time in the Great Smoky Mountains, the copperhead is one of only 2 venomous snakes you can possibly meet, and it is by far the one you are most likely to step on. These snakes are masters of disguise. Their copper and tan banding blends almost perfectly into a bed of fallen leaves, which is exactly where they like to lie still and wait. Across the United States, copperheads are responsible for more venomous snake bites than any other species. Of the roughly 7,000 to 8,000 venomous snake bites reported in the country each year, an estimated 2,920 are from copperheads, which is around 39% of the total, more than any other snake. The reason is simple. Unlike a rattlesnake, a copperhead gives you no warning. It does not rattle, it does not hiss, it just freezes and trusts its camouflage. So most bites happen when a hiker accidentally places a hand or foot right next to one. The good news is that copperhead venom is relatively mild, and deaths are extremely rare, with a fatality rate of only about 1 in 10,000 bites. A copperhead injects on average just 26 milligrams of venom, while it takes an estimated 100 milligrams to kill a healthy adult. The bad news is that a bite is intensely painful and can cause serious tissue damage if it is not treated quickly. Copperheads are also pit vipers, which means they can sense the body heat of a passing animal through special organs on their face, striking with deadly accuracy even in total darkness. They are most active on warm summer evenings, the exact time many hikers are finishing a long day on the trail. In a park that welcomes around 12 million visitors every year, the most visited national park in the entire United States, that is a staggering number of chances for someone to learn this lesson the hard way. But the copperhead is the quiet one. Its cousin actually announces when it is about to ruin your day. Number 9. The timber rattlesnake. The timber rattlesnake is the second of the park's 2 venomous serpents, and it is in a completely different league. These are big, heavy-bodied snakes that can grow well over 4 feet long, with the record stretching to around 60 inches, and unlike the copperhead, they pack venom that is far more potent. Drop for drop, timber rattlesnake venom is roughly 7 times more toxic than a copperhead's, and a single bite can deliver enough venom to be life-threatening. When one of these snakes does bite, it injects venom somewhere between 40 and 60% of the time, and an untreated bite carries a fatality rate estimated between 1 in 10 and 1 in 100. A timber rattlesnake will often give you that famous warning buzz, a dry electric rattle that has stopped countless hikers dead in their tracks. The problem is that they live across the entire park, from the low valleys all the way up to the high ridge lines above 5,000 feet. So there is no elevation where you are truly safe from them. They love to bask on warm rocks and sun-soaked trails in the morning, the very places people like to rest. A defensive timber rattlesnake can strike at a distance of around half its body length in a fraction of a second, faster than you can pull your leg back. Across the whole country, around 9,000 people are bitten by snakes each year, yet only about 5 die. A testament to modern anti-venom, but a serious bite is still a medical emergency that can require many vials of treatment and a long hospital stay. Now, you might think the deadliest creatures here are the ones with fangs, but the next animal on our list kills more Americans every single year than snakes and bears combined, and most people never see it coming. Number 8. The yellow jacket. It sounds almost laughable to put an insect on a list of dangerous animals until you look at the numbers. According to the Centers for Disease Control, stings from hornets, wasps, and bees killed 788 people in the United States between 2011 and 2021, an average of 72 deaths every year, with a high of 89 deaths in a single year. To put that in perspective, snakes kill only around 5 people a year. That means these insects are roughly 14 times deadlier than every venomous snake in the country combined. Around 84% of those sting victims were men, often caught while working or hiking outdoors. In the Smokies, yellow jackets are a genuine hazard because they build their nests in the ground, hidden in old burrows and under logs, right alongside the trail. A hiker does not even have to touch the nest. Just the vibration of footsteps can trigger the entire colony to pour out and attack. And unlike a bee, a single yellow jacket can sting again and again without dying. For most people, that means a string of agonizing welts. But for the small percentage of the population that is severely allergic, a swarm of stings deep in the backcountry, hours from the nearest hospital, can trigger fatal anaphylaxis in minutes. Late summer and fall are the worst, when colonies are at their largest and most aggressive. So the tiniest threats can be the most lethal, but there is something much larger roaming these forests that should never have been here in the first place. Number 7. The wild boar. The European wild boar is not a native animal of the Smoky Mountains. It was brought to the southern Appalachians in 1912 for sport hunting, and after some of them escaped from a private game reserve, they bred with feral domestic pigs and spread across the mountains. Today, they are one of the park's most destructive invasive species. A large boar can weigh well over 200 pounds, with some exceeding 300, and it can charge at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour, armed with razor-sharp tusks that it is more than willing to use. These animals are intelligent, fast, and unpredictable, and a cornered or wounded boar will charge with shocking speed, slashing upward with those tusks at exactly the height of a person's legs. They are most active at night and at dawn, rooting up the forest floor and tearing apart fragile mountain ecosystems with a destructive efficiency that has cost the park enormous sums in damage. A single sounder, as a group of boars is called, can churn an entire meadow into mud overnight. Beyond the physical danger, wild boars also carry diseases that can spread to humans and other wildlife, making them a threat in more ways than one. The park has spent decades trying to control their numbers, and they have proven almost impossible to eliminate. Of course, an angry boar is something you can at least see coming. The next animal is so small you will probably never notice it on your skin, and that is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Number 6. The tick. A tick is barely the size of a sesame seed, but pound for pound, it may be the most dangerous animal in these mountains. The Smokies are crawling with them, especially in the warmer months, and they lurk on the tips of grass and brush, waiting to latch on to anything warm that brushes past. The danger is not the bite itself. It is what the tick carries. Ticks in this region transmit a frightening menu of diseases, including Lyme disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, ehrlichiosis, and more. Lyme disease alone is the most common vector-borne illness in the United States. While around 89,000 cases were officially reported to the CDC in 2023, the agency estimates that the true number of people diagnosed and treated each year is closer to 476,000. Rocky Mountain spotted fever is rarer but far more sinister. If it is not treated within the first 5 days, the fatality rate can climb past 20%, and it was named after a region that, ironically, sees fewer cases than the southeastern United States does today. A tick can stay attached for hours or even days without you feeling a thing, quietly transmitting bacteria into your bloodstream the entire time. Many victims never even realize they were bitten until the symptoms appear, sometimes weeks later. That is why rangers constantly remind visitors to check every inch of their skin after a hike. Tiny, silent, and everywhere. But let us get back to the predators with teeth, because the next one has fangs that deliver one of the most feared venom in North America. Number 5. The black widow spider. The black widow is a name that strikes fear into almost anyone, and for good reason. These glossy black spiders, marked with the unmistakable red hourglass on the underside of the female, make their homes in the dark, undisturbed places of the Smokies, in woodpiles, rock crevices, outbuildings, and under the eaves of cabins. Their venom is widely cited as roughly 15 times stronger than that of a rattlesnake, drop for drop, which makes the black widow the most venomous spider in North America. A black widow bite floods the body with a neurotoxin that can cause severe muscle cramps, sweating, a racing heart, and excruciating abdominal pain that has been mistaken for appendicitis. The good news is that the spider injects only a tiny fraction of a milligram, far too little to reliably kill a healthy adult. And thanks to antivenom, deaths in the modern era are exceptionally rare, often 0 in a given year, with the very young and very old being most at risk. The real danger is that black widows are not aggressive and like to hide. So most bites happen when someone reaches blindly into a dark space or pulls on a piece of firewood, putting a hand right where the spider is waiting. A venomous spider is frightening, but at least it is trying to avoid you. The next animal has been steadily losing its fear of humans, and it is getting bolder every year. Number 4. The coyote. Coyotes are relative newcomers to the Smoky Mountains, having expanded their range across the eastern United States over the last several decades, and they have adapted to these mountains with unsettling ease. On their own, a single coyote is wary of people and rarely a threat. The danger comes from 2 things. First, they hunt in family groups, and a pack is a far more confident and aggressive animal than a lone individual. Second, and far more dangerous, coyotes that have been fed by careless visitors quickly lose their natural fear of humans. A coyote that associates people with food becomes bold, approaches campsites, and can turn aggressive, especially toward small children and pets. To be clear, fatal coyote attacks on humans are almost unheard of. In all of modern North American history, only 2 confirmed fatal attacks have ever been recorded, one on a toddler in California in 1981 and one on a 19-year-old hiker in Canada in 2009. But non-fatal bites are far more common than most people realize, and they have been steadily rising as these animals lose their fear of people. They are also one of the main carriers of rabies in the wild, and a bite from an infected animal is a life-threatening emergency. Their eerie nighttime howling and yipping, echoing through the dark valleys, is a sound that reminds every camper they are never truly alone out here. Coyotes are also remarkably adaptable eating everything from berries and insects to small deer, which is exactly why they have thrived where so many other predators have disappeared from these mountains. Now, here is where this countdown takes a turn you probably will not expect. The next animal is one you have seen 1,000 times, one that looks completely harmless, and yet it kills more people in America than every predator on this list combined. Number 3, the white-tailed deer. Yes, the deer. It seems impossible, but the gentle, doe-eyed, white-tailed deer is statistically the deadliest wild animal in all of North America, and it is everywhere in the Smoky Mountains, especially in open areas like Cades Cove. The reason has nothing to do with teeth or claws. Across the United States, there are an estimated 1 to 2 million collisions between vehicles and large animals like deer every single year, causing around 200 human deaths, with some studies putting the figure as high as 440, plus tens of thousands of injuries, and well over $8 billion in damage. That death toll dwarfs the combined total from bears, snakes, spiders, and sharks. On the winding mountain roads of the park, a deer can bolt out of the tree line in an instant, and a high-speed impact with an animal that can weigh well over 100 pounds is often fatal for the driver. And there is a second danger most people forget. During the autumn mating season, known as the rut, bucks become territorial and unpredictable, and people have been gored and trampled by male deer that they foolishly tried to approach for a photograph. The lesson is simple. The most dangerous animal is rarely the one that looks dangerous. If a deer can be that lethal, imagine its much larger relative, an animal that vanished from these mountains for over a century before making a dramatic comeback. Number 2, the elk. Elk once roamed the southern Appalachians in great numbers, but overhunting wiped them out, with the last elk in the region killed back in the 1800s. Then, in 2001, the National Park Service released the first group of 25 elk into the Cataloochee Valley, followed by 27 more the next year. And today, these magnificent animals once again roam the North Carolina side of the park. They are also the single largest animal in the entire Smokies. A mature bull elk can stand 5 feet tall at the shoulder and weigh up to 700 pounds, crowned with a rack of antlers that can spread several feet wide and weigh as much as 40 pounds. Despite that bulk, an elk can charge at speeds approaching 40 miles per hour, far faster than any human can run. During the fall rut, those bulls are pumped full of testosterone and will charge anything they perceive as a rival or a threat, including people who wander too close trying to get a photo. In spring, mother elk are equally dangerous, fiercely protecting their calves and capable of striking with their hooves hard enough to break bones. Every year, rangers have to intervene when tourists ignore the warnings and approach these enormous animals as if they were tame. 700 pounds of muscle and antler is terrifying. But it is still not the animal that sits at the top of this list. The creature at number 1 is the undisputed icon of these mountains, and it has killed before. Number 1, the American black bear. The black bear is the symbol of the Great Smoky Mountains, and the park protects one of the densest populations of black bears anywhere in the country. Biologists estimate that around 1900, bears live within the park's roughly 500,000 acres, which works out to about 2 bears for every single square mile. That population has roughly tripled since the early 1990s, and bears live at every elevation, which means that no matter where you hike, you are almost certainly sharing the forest with one. A large male can weigh 250 pounds in summer and swell to over 600 pounds before winter, run at 30 miles per hour, and climb a tree faster than any human alive. They also possess one of the most powerful senses of smell in the animal kingdom, able to detect food from miles away, which is exactly why a single improperly stored cooler can draw a bear straight into a crowded campsite. For decades, people assumed black bears were too timid to be truly dangerous. That illusion was shattered on May 21st, in the year 2000, when an experienced 50-year-old hiker and schoolteacher named Glenda Ann Bradley was killed on the Little River Trail in what wildlife experts described as a rare predatory attack by a female bear and her cub. It was the first known bear fatality in the park's history. Then, in September of 2020, a 43-year-old backpacker named Patrick Madura was killed by a bear at a backcountry campsite, the second such death on record. These attacks are extraordinarily rare out of millions of safe encounters, but they are a chilling reminder that the gentle-looking bear posing for photos along the road is a powerful wild predator, and the moment we forget that is the moment it becomes the most dangerous animal in the Smokies. Which one of these animals scares you the most? And have you ever come face to face with one in real life? Share your experience down in the comments.